Jake Morrison stood in front of the big window in his ship. He watched the stars move past as they traveled through space. His hands were behind his back, and his face looked serious. He was thinking about the message that came 3 days ago. The message was from Emperor Zethkar himself. The ruler of the biggest empire in the galaxy wanted to have dinner with Jake. This had never happened before. No human had ever been asked to eat at the Emperor's table. Jake was both excited and worried. "Commander Morrison?" A voice said behind him. Jake turned around. Dr. Lisa Chun was standing at the door. She had a small computer tablet in her hands. Her dark hair was pulled back, and she wore her blue science uniform. Lisa was the smartest person Jake knew. She studied aliens and how they lived. "Come in, Lisa," Jake said. "I was just thinking about our trip." Lisa walked into the room. She looked at the stars outside the window. "It's hard to believe we're really going to meet the Emperor," she said. "After all these years of war, now we have peace." Jake nodded. "And it's because of your work. Your research showed that humans and Hien, the Veilthrins, are related. That changed everything." Lisa smiled, but Jake could see she was nervous. "I just did my job. I studied their biology and found the connection. We both came from similar worlds billions of years ago." "Don't be modest," Jake said. "Before your discovery, they thought we were just animals. Now they see us as distant cousins. That's why we have this peace treaty." Lisa sat down in a chair. She put her tablet on the table. "Jake, are you sure you want me to come with you?" "The Emperor only invited you." Jake looked at her with surprise. "Of course you're coming. You're my science advisor. Plus, you know more about Veilthrin culture than anyone else on this ship." "But I'm just a researcher," Lisa said quietly. "You're the commander. You're the one who made the peace deal happen." Jake shook his head. "Lisa, without your work, there would be no peace. Deal. The Veilthrins only started talking to us after they learned we were related to them. That was all because of you." Lisa looked down at her hands. Jake could tell something was bothering her. He sat down across from her. "What's wrong?" he asked. Lisa was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I've been reading about Velthron society. They care a lot about rank and status. Commanders and emperors are important. Scientists like me, we're not seen as very important." "That's not true," Jake said. "Science is important everywhere." Lisa shook her head. "Not to them. In their culture, only warriors and leaders get respect. People like me are seen as servants. I'm worried they won't want me at this dinner." Jake leaned forward. "Lisa, you're a decorated officer in the Earth Space Navy. You've served for 15 years. You've earned your place at any table." "Have I?" Lisa asked. "Sometimes I wonder if people only listen to me because I'm useful. Once they don't need my research anymore, will they still care what I think?" Jake felt angry. Not at Lisa, but at the situation. He had seen how some people treated her. Even on their own ship, some of the crew acted like scientists were less important than fighters. It wasn't fair. "Lisa," Jake said firmly, "you're one of the most important people in this galaxy right now. Your work saved both our species from destroying each other. Don't let anyone make you feel small." Lisa looked up at him. "Thank you, Jake. I needed to hear that." The ship's computer made a sound. A voice said, "We will arrive at Valthros Prime in 2 hours." Jake stood up. "We should get ready." "Do you have your formal uniform?" Lisa nodded. "Yes, I brought my dress uniform with all my medals." "Good," Jake said. "Wear them all. I want the Veilthrins to see exactly who they're dealing with." They walked to the door together. As they stepped into the hallway, Lisa stopped. "Jake?" she said. "Yes? What if they really don't want me there? What if the Emperor gets angry that you brought me?" Jake looked at her seriously. Then we'll deal with it together. I'm not going to leave you behind, Lisa. We're a team." Lisa smiled. "A team? I like that." They walked down the hall toward their rooms. Other crew members nodded as they passed. Everyone on the ship knew how important this dinner was. It would help decide the future of human and Veil-Thrane relations. In his room, Jake put on his best uniform. He looked at himself in the mirror. The gold stripes on his sleeves showed his rank. The medals on his chest showed his service record. But he knew that none of that mattered as much as doing the right thing. He thought about Lisa's worries. Maybe she was right to be concerned. The Veil-Thrins were very different from humans. They had 4 eyes and 6 arms. Their skin changed colors based on their feelings. They lived for hundreds of years and had built an empire that covered half the galaxy. But Jake also knew that Lisa was special. She had a gift for understanding other species. She could see things that others missed. That's how she discovered the connection between humans and Veil-Thrins. That's how she helped end a war that had lasted 50 years. There was a knock on his door. Jake opened it and saw Lisa standing there. She wore her dark blue dress uniform. Her medals caught the light from the hallway. She looked nervous, but determined. "Ready?" Jake asked. "Ready," Lisa said. They walked to the transport bay together. A small shuttle was waiting to take them down to the planet. Through the windows, they could see Veil-Thros Prime below them. The planet looked like a giant crystal. Cities made of glass and metal covered the surface. It was beautiful and strange. "It's amazing," Lisa said, looking down at the planet. "It is," Jake agreed. "But remember, we represent all of humanity down there. We need to show them what we're made of." The shuttle pilot called to them. Commander Morrison, Dr. Chun were ready to go. Jake and Lisa got into the shuttle. As they flew down toward the planet, Jake felt his heart beating faster. This dinner could change everything. It could make the peace between humans and Veil-Thrins stronger, or it could ruin everything they had worked for. He looked at Lisa sitting next to him. She was reading something on her tablet, probably studying Veil-Thrin customs one more time. She always prepared for everything. That's what made her such a good scientist. "Lisa," he said. She looked up. "Yes, whatever happens down there, I want you to know something. You belong at that table just as much as I do, maybe more." Lisa smiled. "Thank you, Jake. That means everything to me." The shuttle landed at the royal palace. Jake could see tall Veil-Thrin guards waiting for them. Their skin was a light blue color, which Lisa had taught him meant they were calm but alert. This was it, the moment that would change their lives forever. Jake and Lisa stepped out of the shuttle onto the crystal platform. The air on Veil-Thros Prime felt thick and warm. Strange smells filled their noses, like flowers mixed with metal. Above them, the sky was a deep purple color with 2 suns shining. Down, the royal palace stood in front of them like a mountain made of glass. It was huge and beautiful, with towers that reached up into the clouds. Light from the suns made the whole building sparkle like diamonds. "Welcome to Veil-Thros Prime," said a deep voice. A tall Veil-Thrin walked toward them. He was much bigger than a human, with long arms and legs. His 4 eyes looked down at Jake and Lisa. His skin was dark green with spots of gold. Jake remembered from Lisa's lessons that green meant the alien was being formal and careful. "I am Clefmer, aide to His Imperial Majesty Emperor Zeethkar," the alien said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "Commander Morrison, the Emperor has been waiting to meet you." Jake stepped forward. "Thank you for the welcome. This is Dr. Lisa Chun, my science advisor." Clefmer's 4 eyes looked at Lisa for just a second, then looked away. He acted like she wasn't there. "The Emperor is very excited about this dinner, Commander. It will be a night to remember. Lisa cleared her throat. It's an honor to be here. I've studied Velthran culture for many years. I'm looking forward to meeting His Majesty. Clethmer's skin changed to a darker green. Jake could see that the alien was not happy. Yes, well, we should go inside. The Emperor does not like to wait. They walked through the palace doors. Inside, everything was made of smooth crystal and bright metal. The walls were covered with pictures that moved and changed colors. Strange music played softly in the air. Other Velthrans walked through the halls. They all wore fancy clothes with bright colors. When they saw Jake, they nodded, with respect. But when they looked at Lisa, their faces changed. Some looked confused. Others looked angry. A few pointed at her and whispered to each other. Lisa noticed the stares. Jake could see her shoulders get tight, but she kept walking with her head up, acting like nothing was wrong. The palace is incredible, Lisa said to Clethmer. The architecture is unlike anything on Earth. Clethmer kept walking without looking at her. The palace has stood for 1,000 years. It was built by the greatest artists in the Empire. Dr. Chun is an expert on Velthran history and culture, Jake said. She would love to learn more about the palace. Clethmer stopped walking. His skin turned bright orange, which Lisa had. Taught Jake meant anger. Commander Morrison, perhaps you do not understand. Tonight's dinner is for beings of importance. Leaders, warriors, rulers of worlds. It is not for researchers. Jake felt his jaw get tight. Dr. Chun is a decorated officer and a brilliant scientist. She's the reason we have peace between our species. She studied our biology, Clethmer said, like it was something dirty. She looked at us like we were bugs under a microscope. That does not make her important. Lisa's face turned red, but she stayed calm. I studied your people to understand them better. I wanted to find ways for our species to live together in peace. Clethmer finally looked directly at her. You wanted to find our weaknesses. You wanted to learn how to fight us better. That's not true, Lisa said firmly. I wanted to find our similarities. I wanted to show that we're not so different. Similarities? Clethmer laughed. It sounded like metal scraping against stone. You are nothing like us, human female. You are small and weak. You live for barely 100 years. What could you possibly understand about our great civilization? Jake stepped between Clethmer and Lisa. That's enough. Dr. Chun deserves respect. Clethmer, skin turned even brighter orange. Respect? She is a curiosity, nothing more. The noble houses are already upset that she is here. They do not want to eat dinner with someone so unimportant. They kept walking through the palace. More Velthrans stared at them as they passed. Jake heard them whispering in their clicking language. He couldn't understand the words, but he could tell they were talking about Lisa. Finally, they reached a huge door made of silver and gold. 2 guards stood on each side. They were even bigger than Clethmer, with scars on their arms and faces. Beyond this door is the royal dining hall, Clethmer said. Commander Morrison, the Emperor and his guests are waiting for you. And Dr. Chun, Jake added. Clethmer shook his head. The human female cannot enter. There is no place for her at the Emperor's table. Lisa looked like someone had hit her in the stomach. But I thought... You thought wrong, Clethmer said coldly. The Emperor invited Commander Morrison. He did. Not invite his pet scientist. Jake felt anger burn in his chest. Lisa is not my pet. She's my colleague and my friend. She can wait in the servants' area, Clethmer said. There are chairs there. She will be comfortable. The servants' area? Jake couldn't believe what he was hearing. It is a great honor, Clethmer said. Most humans would never be allowed inside the palace at all. Lisa put her hand on Jake's arm. It's okay, Jake. You should go to the dinner. This is important for humanity. No, Jake said. It's not okay. If Lisa can't come to the dinner, then maybe I shouldn't go either. Klethmer's 4 eyes went wide. His skin turned bright red, which meant shock and fear. Commander Morrison, you cannot be serious. The Emperor has prepared a great feast. The most important beings in the galaxy are waiting to meet you. And the most important human scientist should be there too, Jake said. She is just a researcher, Klethmer said loudly. She counts cells and studies blood samples. How is that important? She discovered that humans and Vaelthrons share common ancestors, Jake said. She proved we're related. That's why your Emperor started talking to us instead of trying to destroy us. Klethmer was quiet for a moment. Then he said, anyone could have made that discovery. It was just luck. Lisa finally spoke up. It wasn't luck. It took me 15 years of research. I studied genetic patterns from 1,000 different worlds. I compared DNA sequences from millions of species. I worked 18 hours a day for months to find the connection. So, Klethmer said, you did your job. That does not make you worthy of dining with an emperor. Jake looked at the big doors. Behind them was the most important dinner in human history. Representatives from 12 different alien species would be there. Decisions would be made that could affect billions of people. But he also looked at Lisa. She had worked so hard to make this peace possible. She had given up everything to study alien cultures. She had spent years alone in laboratories, while other people got the credit for her discoveries. Klethmer, Jake said slowly, what makes someone worthy of dining with the Emperor? Power. Klethmer said immediately. The ability to command fleets and rule worlds. The strength to conquer enemies and protect allies. What about intelligence? Jake asked. What about the ability to solve problems that no one else can solve? Intelligence is useful, Klethmer admitted, but it is not the same as power. What? About courage? Jake continued. The courage to spend your life trying to understand people who are different from you. The courage to keep working, even when others say your work doesn't matter. Klethmer's skin started to change colors. Jake could see he was confused. That is not how things work in our empire. Maybe that's the problem, Jake said. The doors started to open. Jake could hear voices and music from inside. He could smell strange foods and see bright lights. Commander Morrison, Klethmer said desperately, please, the Emperor is waiting. This dinner could change the future of both our species. Jake looked at Lisa one more time. She looked sad, but she was trying to be brave. She had faced this kind of treatment before. People had always told her she wasn't important enough, smart enough, strong enough. But Jake knew the truth. Lisa was one of the most important people in the galaxy. She just didn't have a title or an army to prove it. Dr. Chun, Jake said formally, would you like to attend this dinner with me? Lisa smiled for the first time since they arrived. I would be honored, Commander Morrison. Klethmer's skin turned dark purple, which meant he was very upset. Commander, you do not understand what you are doing. The noble houses will be insulted. The Emperor will be angry. Then they'll have to deal with it, Jake said, because Dr. Chun and I are a team. We go together, or we don't go at all. The big doors opened all the way. Jake and Lisa walked into the royal dining hall together. The room was huge, like a cathedral made of crystal and gold. The ceiling was so high that Jake couldn't see the top. Lights floated in the air without any wires holding them up. In the center of the room was a long black table made from a single piece of stone. It was bigger than Jake's shuttle. Around the table sat the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Jake recognized some of them from his military briefings. There was Ambassador Thizes from the Krillian Republic. She looked like a giant bird with silver feathers and sharp claws. Next to her sat General Vox from the Centauri Alliance. He was shaped like a bear, but had tentacles instead of arms. At the far end of the table sat three beings that Jake had never seen before. They were tall and thin, with skin like tree bark. Lisa whispered that they were from the Elder Worlds, the oldest civilization in the galaxy. But the most impressive being was at the head of the table. Emperor Zethkar was twice as tall as any other Velthrin. His skin was pure gold with patterns that moved and changed. 6 arms moved gracefully as he spoke to his guests. When he saw Jake and Lisa enter, his 4 eyes focused on them. "Ah, Commander Morrison," the Emperor said. His voice was deep and musical. "Welcome to our table. We have waited long to meet the human who brought peace to our worlds." Jake walked forward, but he noticed something. There was only one empty chair at the table. It was made of white crystal and had gold decorations. It was clearly meant for him. But there was no chair for Lisa. She stood behind Jake, looking around the room. All the alien beings stared at her. Some looked curious. Others looked annoyed. A few whispered to each other in their strange languages. Ambassador Theises let out a series of sharp clicks. Her translator device said, "Why has the human brought his servant to dinner?" General Vox made a rumbling sound. His translator said, "Perhaps she carries his food for him." Laughter filled the room. Not friendly laughter, but the kind that makes someone feel small and stupid. Lisa's face turned red, but she kept her head up. Emperor Zethkar raised one of his 6 hands. The room became quiet. "Commander Morrison, please take your seat. We have much to discuss about the future of our alliance." Jake looked at the beautiful chair waiting for him. This was the highest honor any human had ever received, but he didn't move toward it. "Your Majesty," Jake said loudly, "I notice there's no place for Dr. Chun." The Emperor's golden skin changed to a slightly darker color. "The human female is welcome to observe from the side of the room. We have comfortable cushions there." "Dr. Chun is not an observer," Jake said. "She's my science advisor and the person who made this piece possible." A Velthrin noble near the Emperor spoke up. "Commander Morrison, surely you understand protocol. This table is for leaders, not for servants and researchers." Jake felt his anger growing. "Dr. Chun is not a servant. She's a brilliant scientist who discovered the genetic connection between humans and Velthrins. A useful discovery," the Emperor admitted. "But she was simply doing her job. That does not earn her a place at our table." Lisa stepped forward. Jake could see she was nervous, but her voice was steady. "Your Majesty, I didn't come here expecting to sit at your table. I came hoping to learn more about your people and to help build understanding between our species." The Emperor looked at her with all 4 eyes. "Understanding? You studied our biology like we were animals in a zoo. You took our blood and examined our cells. What kind of understanding is that?" "I studied your people because I wanted to prove we could live together in peace," Lisa said. "I spent 15 years of my life searching for connections between our species. I found proof that we share common ancestors from billions of years ago." Ambassador Theises clicked her beak loudly. "So what?" "That is ancient history. It means nothing now." "It means everything," Lisa said, her voice getting stronger. "It means we're family. Distant family, but family all the same. It means we don't have to be enemies." General Vox laughed. "Family? Humans live for barely a century. You have no technology we need. You control only one small world. How can you be family to us?" Jake stepped beside Lisa. "Because family isn't about how powerful you are or how long you live. It's about caring for each other and working together." The Emperor leaned forward. "Commander Morrison, your species has only just joined the galactic community. You should be grateful that we allow you any place at all in our empire. We are grateful, Jake said. But gratitude doesn't mean we should accept being treated badly. The room went very quiet. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. He had just challenged the most powerful being in the galaxy. Treated badly? The Emperor asked. His voice was dangerous now. Yes, Jake said. Dr. Chun deserves respect. She's done more for galactic peace than most of the beings at this table. A noble from the other end of the table stood up. He was tall and thin with purple skin. How dare you speak to the Emperor that way? Your species should be honored that we even talk. To you? Honored? Jake asked. We ended a 50-year war. We signed a peace treaty that benefits everyone. We brought something valuable to this alliance. What could you possibly bring? The purple noble demanded. You have no great armies. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your world has no rare minerals or special resources. Jake looked around the table at all the powerful aliens. They all seemed to agree with the purple noble. They all thought humans were weak and unimportant. You want to know what we bring? Jake asked. We bring the idea that every person has worth. We bring the belief that intelligence and kindness matter just as much as strength and power. Emperor Zithkar's skin flickered through different colors. Those are pretty words, Commander. But they do not conquer worlds or build empires. No, Jake agreed. But they create something better than empires. They create communities where everyone can contribute their best gifts. He gestured toward Lisa. Dr. Chun's gift is her brilliant mind. She sees patterns that others miss. She asks questions that others don't think to ask. She found the answer to a problem that had puzzled scientists for decades. She did her job, the Emperor said dismissively. She did more than her job. Jake sighed. She worked 18 hours a day for months. She studied genetic samples from 1,000 worlds. She never gave up, even when people told her she was wasting her time. Lisa looked surprised. She didn't know that Jake had noticed how hard she worked. And now, Jake continued, she's here with me because she's the best person to help build relationships between our species. She understands your culture better than any other human. She respects your traditions while also sharing her own knowledge. Ambassador. Daises made a dismissive sound. Understanding and respect do not win battles. They win something better than battles, Jake said. They win peace. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. His skin slowly changed from gold to silver, which Lisa had taught Jake meant deep thinking. Commander Morrison, the Emperor finally sighed. You speak of respect and worth, but respect must be earned. What has this human female done to earn respect from us? Jake felt his anger reach its peak. What has she done? She's dedicated her life to understanding other species. She's worked to build bridges between different peoples. She's proven that enemies can become allies if they're willing to listen to each other. He took a deep breath and made a decision that would change everything. Your Majesty, Jake said formally, if Dr. Chun is not welcome at this table, then I cannot accept your invitation either. Gasps echoed through the huge room. The Emperor's skin turned bright orange with shock and anger. You would reject the highest honor we can give? The Emperor demanded. I would reject any honor that requires me to abandon my principles, Jake said. Dr. Chun and I are a team. We succeed together, or we fail together. The Emperor stood up. He was enormous, towering over everyone else in the room. His 6 arms spread wide, and his 4 eyes blazed with fury. No human has ever spoken to me this way, he said, his voice like thunder. Then maybe it's time someone did, Jake replied calmly. The entire room held its breath. Jake had just defied the most powerful ruler in the galaxy. This could mean war between humans and the Veilthron. Empire. It could mean the end of everything they had worked for. But Jake looked at Lisa standing beside him. and he knew he had made the right choice. The silence in the great hall was like a heavy blanket. Every alien being stared at Jake and Lisa. No one moved, no one spoke. Even the floating lights seemed to dim. Emperor Zithkar's skin was now bright red with anger. His 6 arms trembled. His 4 eyes looked like burning stars. "Commander Morrison," he said in a voice that could shake mountains, "do you know what you have just done?" "I've stood up for what's right," Jake said quietly. "You have insulted the imperial throne." The Emperor roared. "You have rejected an honor that kings and queens would die for. You have chosen a mere scientist over the friendship of the greatest empire in the galaxy." Klefmer rushed into the room. His skin was flashing between purple and orange, showing his panic. "Your Majesty, please forgive the human commander. He does not understand our ways. He is young and foolish." "I understand your ways perfectly," Jake said, not taking his eyes off the Emperor. "You believe that power makes someone important. You think that titles and armies are what give a person worth. And you think differently?" The Emperor asked, his voice deadly quiet now. "Yes," Jake said. "I think worth comes from what you contribute to the world. I think it comes from how you treat others, especially those who can't help you in return." Ambassador Theises stood up from her chair. Her silver feathers rustled with anger. "This is ridiculous. The human talks about treating others well, but he insults our emperor in his own palace." "I'm not insulting anyone," Jake said. "I'm trying to show you something important about humanity." General Vox laughed, a sound like rocks falling down a mountain. "What could your primitive species possibly teach us?" Jake looked around the table at all the powerful aliens. They controlled fleets of starships. They ruled over billions of people. They had conquered worlds and built empires that lasted for thousands of years. But Jake also saw something else. He saw beings who had forgotten what it meant to care about individual people. They only cared about power and status and control. "We can teach you about dignity," Jake said. "Every human being has value, whether they're an emperor or a janitor. A scientist studying alien biology is just as important as a general commanding armies." The Emperor's skin began to change colors rapidly, red to orange to purple to gold. Jake could see he was struggling with strong emotions. "You speak of dignity," the Emperor said, "but you show no respect for our traditions. You bring an uninvited guest to my table. You demand special treatment for someone who has no rank or title." "I'm not demanding special treatment," Jake said. "I'm asking for basic respect. Dr. Chun deserves to be here because of what she's accomplished, not because of her title." Lisa stepped forward. Jake could see she was scared, but she was also brave. "Your Majesty," she said, "may I speak?" The Emperor looked down at her. For a moment, his skin stopped changing colors. "You may speak, human." "Female." Lisa took a deep breath. "I didn't come here tonight expecting to sit at your table. I know I don't have armies or fleets or planets under my command. I'm just a scientist who studies how different species can live together." "Just a scientist?" Ambassador Theises repeated, mockingly. "Yes," Lisa said, not letting the insult hurt her. "Just a scientist. But I've spent my whole adult life trying to understand other species. Not to find their weaknesses or to learn how to defeat them, but to find ways we can all be friends." She looked around the table at all the alien faces staring at her. "I've studied your histories, your cultures, your languages. I've read your poetry and listened to your music. I've tried to understand what makes each species special and unique." General Vox made a dismissive sound. "So what? Knowledge is just a tool. What matters is how you use it." "You're right," Lisa said, surprising him. "Knowledge is a tool. And I've used my knowledge to build bridges instead of weapons. I've used it to find connections instead of differences. The Emperor leaned forward in his massive chair. "And what connections did you find, human scientist?" Lisa's voice grew stronger. "I found that all of us, every species in this room, came from worlds with similar conditions. We all evolved under stars that give off the same kind of light. We all breathe similar atmospheres. We all need water to live. Common needs," the Emperor said. "That is not the same as being family." "No," Lisa agreed, "but I found something else. I found that we all have the same basic genetic markers, the same building blocks of life. We're all branches of the same ancient tree." She paused, looking directly at the Emperor. "Your Majesty, your people and my people shared a common ancestor 4 billion years ago. We're literally related. Distant cousins, separated by space and time, but still family." The room was quiet again. This time, it wasn't the silence of anger. It was the silence of beings thinking about something important. A voice came from the far end of the table. It was one of the elder beings, the tree-like creatures from the oldest worlds. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind through leaves. "The human scientist speaks truth," the elder being said. "Our own researchers have confirmed her findings. All the species at this table share common ancestry." Emperor Zethkar's skin slowly turned to a deep blue color. Jake remembered that blue meant the Emperor was thinking seriously about something. "If this is true," the Emperor said slowly, "then why does it matter? We are what we are now. The past cannot change the present." Jake stepped forward again. "It matters because it changes how we see each other. Instead of thinking of other species as strangers or enemies, we can think of them as family members we haven't seen in a long time. Family members who fight and compete with each other," Ambassador Theises pointed out. "Yes," Jake admitted. "Families do fight sometimes. But they also help each other. They protect each other. They work together when facing big problems." He gestured toward the ceiling, pointing up at the stars beyond. "There are dangers out there that we haven't faced yet. New species that might not be as friendly as we are. Natural disasters that could destroy whole worlds. If we work together as one big family, we can handle anything." The Emperor was quiet for a long time. His skin continued to change color slowly, cycling through blue and silver and gold. Finally, he spoke. "Commander Morrison," he said, "you asked me to give up thousands of years of tradition. You asked me to treat a scientist as equal to an emperor. I'm asking you to judge people by their actions, not their titles," Jake said. "And if I refuse?" the Emperor asked. "If I insist that you take your place at my table without the human female?" Jake looked at the beautiful crystal chair that was meant for him. He thought about all the good things that could come from this. Dinner, trade agreements that would help both species, military alliances that would keep everyone safe, scientific partnerships that could solve big problems. Then he looked at Lisa. She had dedicated her life to making this moment possible. She had worked harder than anyone to build peace between their species. She deserved to be here just as much as he did. "Then I'll have to decline your invitation," Jake said. "Dr. Chun and I are partners. We work together, or we don't work at all." The Emperor's skin flashed bright orange again. "You would throw away everything for one person?" "I would throw away everything for the principle that every person matters," Jake said. "That's what humans believe. That's what makes us who we are." The Emperor stood up again. His massive form cast a shadow over the entire table. "Then perhaps," he said in a voice like rolling thunder, "it is time for this Emperor to learn something new." Emperor Zethkar raised all 6 of his arms. The entire hall became completely silent. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. Lisa stood beside him, her hands shaking slightly, but her face calm and determined. "In my long life," the Emperor said, his voice echoing through the crystal hall, I have conquered 100 worlds. I have commanded fleets of 10,000 ships. I have built an empire that spans half the galaxy." He paused, his 4 eyes looking directly at Jake and Lisa. "But never," he continued, "has anyone chosen to give up power for the sake of another person." Jake felt confused. "Your Majesty?" The Emperor's skin began to change from angry red to thoughtful blue. "Commander Morrison, you were offered the highest honor in our empire. You could have sat at my right hand, with influence over billions of beings. You could have secured your place in history." "Yes, sir," Jake said quietly. "And you gave it up. For her." The Emperor pointed at Lisa with one of his long arms. "I gave it up for what's right," Jake corrected. "Dr. Chun deserves respect. She's earned her place here." The Emperor began to walk around the great table. His footsteps echoed like thunder. All the other alien dignitaries watched him nervously. "Earned her place," the Emperor repeated. "Tell me, human scientist, what have you earned?" Lisa lifted her chin and looked directly at the massive Emperor. "I've earned the right to be judged by my work, not my title. I've earned the right to be treated with basic dignity. I've earned the right to stand beside my friend." Ambassador Thizes clicked her beak angrily. "You have earned nothing. You are nobody." "That's where you're wrong," said a new voice. Everyone turned to look. It was one of the elder beings from the end of the table. When he stood up, he was even taller than the Emperor. His bark-like skin was covered with ancient patterns that seemed to move in the light. "I am Grudon of the Elder Worlds," the tree being said. "I have lived for 10,000 years. I have seen the rise and fall of civilizations. And I tell you this, the human female has done something remarkable." He pointed at Lisa with a branch-like arm. She looked at the genetic code of 1,000 different species. She found patterns that no one else could see. She proved that all of us in this room are related to each other. General Vox made a rumbling sound. "So what? That changes nothing." "It changes everything," Houtine said firmly. "For the first time in galactic history, we have scientific proof that we are all one family. This knowledge could end wars between species. It could bring peace to the entire galaxy." Emperor Zethkar stopped walking. His skin was now pure silver, which meant he was thinking very deeply. "And this discovery," the Emperor said slowly, "was made by someone you consider unworthy of respect." "She's not unworthy," Jake said. "That's what I've been trying to tell you. Dr. Chun is one of the most important people in the galaxy. She just doesn't have armies or titles to prove it." The Emperor looked at Lisa for a long moment. "Human scientist, why did you choose to study other species? You could have used your intelligence for many other things." Lisa thought for a moment before answering. "When I was young, I read about the wars between different species. I saw how much suffering was caused by fear and misunderstanding. I decided to spend my life trying to build bridges instead of walls, even though it meant you would never be rich or famous." The Emperor asked. "Fame and money weren't important to me," Lisa said. "What mattered was making the galaxy a better place for everyone." The Emperor's skin began to change again, cycling through colors Jake had never seen before. Deep purples mixed with bright golds and soft greens. "Klefmer," the Emperor called to his aide. Klefmer rushed forward, his skin flashing with nervousness. "Yes, Your Majesty?" "Bring another chair to my table. Not just any chair. Bring one of the crystal thrones from the royal chamber." Klefmer's 4 eyes went wide. "Your Majesty?" "But those chairs are only for beings of the highest rank and importance," the Emperor finished. "Exactly." Within minutes, servants brought in a chair that was even more beautiful than the one meant for Jake. It was made of pure white crystal with veins of gold running through it. It sparkled like captured starlight. The servants placed it at the Emperor's left hand, directly across from Jake's chair. "Dr. Lisa Chun," the Emperor said formally, "would you honor us by joining our table?" Lisa looked shocked. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Jake smiled and gently touched her arm. "I think he's asking you to dinner, Lisa." Lisa found her voice. "Your Majesty, I don't know what to say." "Say yes," the Emperor said, and for the first time, his voice sounded kind instead of commanding. "Say yes, and teach us about this bridge building you spoke of." Lisa walked slowly to the beautiful chair. As she sat down, all the alien beings around the table began to murmur. Some sounded surprised. Others sounded thoughtful. A few even sounded pleased. Jake took his own seat across from her. As he sat down, the Emperor raised a crystal cup filled with glowing liquid. "A toast," the Emperor announced, "to our new allies from Earth, Commander Morrison, who showed us the meaning of loyalty, and Dr. Chun, who showed us the meaning of dedication." All around the table, the alien dignitaries raised their own cups. Even Ambassador Theises and General Vox joined in. "But most importantly," the Emperor continued, "a toast to the idea that worth is not measured by power or wealth, but by what we contribute to the common good." Everyone drank from their cups. The liquid tasted strange to Jake, like fruit mixed. With starlight as the dinner began, Jake watched Lisa talking with the other beings at the table. She told them about her research, explained her discoveries, and asked them about their own worlds and cultures. But the elder being Grudon seemed especially interested in her work. "Dr. Chun," he said in his wind-like voice, "your research could change how all species interact with each other. Would you be willing to work with scientists from other worlds?" Lisa's eyes lit up. "I would love that. Imagine what we could discover if we all worked together." Ambassador Theises, who had been so hostile before, now leaned forward with interest. "Dr. Chun, could your genetic research help us understand diseases that affect multiple species?" "Absolutely," Lisa said. "If we're all related, then medical. Treatments that work for one species might work for others too." Even General Vox seemed impressed. "Your work could help us identify which species might be naturally allied with each other. That could prevent wars before they start." As the evening went on, Jake realized something important was happening. Lisa wasn't just sitting at the table as a guest. She was becoming the center of attention. The most powerful beings in the galaxy were asking for her advice and opinions. She belonged here. She had always belonged here. When the dinner was nearly over, Emperor Zethkar stood up again. "Dr. Chun," he said, "I have a proposition for you." Lisa looked up at him. "Yes, Your Majesty? I would like to create a new position in our empire, Ambassador of Scientific Cooperation. Your job would be to work with scientists from all species, to build understanding and solve problems together." Lisa's eyes went wide. "Your Majesty, that's incredible. But I already have duties with the Earth Space Navy." Jake stood up. "Dr. Chun, I think I can speak for Earth when I say we would be honored to have you represent us in this new role." Lisa looked at Jake, then at the Emperor, then at all the alien faces around the table. "I accept," she said. "It would be the honor of my lifetime." The Emperor smiled, which was a strange sight on his massive face. "Excellent. And Commander Morrison, I hope you will work closely with our new ambassador. It seems you two make an excellent team." Jake grinned. "We do indeed, Your Majesty." As they prepared to leave the palace, Jake and Lisa walked together through the crystal halls. Other Velthrins they passed now nodded respectfully to both of them. "Jake," Lisa said quietly, "thank you." "For what?" "For believing in me, for standing up for me, for showing me that I do belong." Jake stopped walking and looked at her seriously. "Lisa, you didn't need me to give you worth. You already had it. I just helped other people see what was already there." Lisa smiled. "You?" Know what the best part is? What? Now I get to spend my career building bridges between species. It's everything I ever dreamed of. Jake laughed. And you get to do it with the full support of the Galactic Empire. Not bad for someone who doesn't belong, right? As they boarded their shuttle to return to their ship, Jake thought about what had happened. He had come to this dinner hoping to secure peace between humans and aliens. Instead, he had learned something much more important. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stand up for someone else. Sometimes giving up your seat at the table is the best way to show what you really believe in. And sometimes, when you do the right thing, you end up changing the galaxy. As their shuttle flew away from the Crystal Palace, Jake looked back at the beautiful building glowing in the light of the two suns. Tomorrow, Lisa would start her new job as ambassador of scientific cooperation. She would work with beings from dozens of different worlds to solve problems and build understanding. She would finally have the respect she had always deserved. The galaxy would be a better place because of it. "Hey, Lisa," Jake said as they flew through the purple sky. "Yeah? Welcome to the Emperor's table." Lisa laughed, and the sound was full of joy and hope and endless possibilities.